Welcome back to Capital Academy. Capital Academy is where we spend time to better understand entrepreneurs that are early stage and startup companies as they build their strategies to attract investors and founders and other resources that they need to build out their business. One of the tools that we utilize to do that is Pitch Me. Pitch Me is an event that allows the entrepreneurs to come on, convey their story, get some questions and some information, but Capital Academy is an extension of that where we then get an opportunity to speak with those entrepreneurs in more detail. Today, one of the entrepreneurs that participated in Pitch Me is Raymond Cooper. He is here to speak with us about Rhema Motors, and then we have Sylvia Henderson, who is a coach with Springboard Training, and Sylvia is here to better understand some of the information that Raymond was able to convey today. So with that being said, we're going to get started. Raymond, thank you so much for participating, thank you for agreeing to this interview. I'll start with, if this was your first pitch presentation for Rhema Motors, so I'll make that specific. What did you feel? How did you feel about your presentation, and any thoughts that you have as it relates to participating with Pitch Me?
Okay, so yes, if it was my first pitch, first and foremost, I want to thank you guys for putting this on, and my team and I thank you. So we truly appreciate the opportunity. First pitch, no. Have I done a lot better pitch-wise? Yes. I do like the intimate surroundings. There are not a ton of people in front of you at the moment, but you have that opportunity to then convey your business, your path to market, and get the various things that you need to do in a more comfortable fashion. So the Pitch Me process, I do feel, was a really great platform to be able to kind of get the awareness of our business out there.
And Executive Vice President of Rhema Motors, LLC. We are an electric vehicle manufacturer developing electric vehicles for the consumer and fleet vehicle market.
I am Charlie Greenhaus. I'm the Director of Performance and Vehicle Dynamics for Rhema Motors. I'm also the Chief Engineer and Project Manager for the electric vehicles, who is our Director of Distribution and Marketing. Matt?
Before I go to Sylvia, just to add into that, the process that you went to qualify to present on Pitch Me, can you speak to that for a moment?
So, there was a lot of due diligence in putting a lot of the information in through the 360 Venture, as well as the iBoss platform as well. And, you know, honestly, there were a lot of questions, but I felt that they were a lot of relevant questions that you would expect an investor to ask. So those are things that you guys are going to be able to convey to the investors through and by our platform, our page. So I think the process was pretty good. I have no qualms about that. I definitely feel that it was, you know, it was a legitimate process that really gave me a better understanding, the ability to understand what's going to be asked of me and my team as we move forward.
Great. So Sylvia, and thank you for participating, but I do smile as entrepreneurs start the process, knowing how many questions they have to go through in order to get through the qualification process. But, you know, we do it for a reason, to ensure that we're getting the best and the brightest that come through. But as it relates to the Pitch Me today and your opportunity to see Rhema Motors, do you have any questions, thoughts, ideas that you would like to find out about?
So thanks for having me here.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to share my thoughts from two perspectives. One as a presentation skills or a pitch coach, and the other from just a consumer. Because one of the things you said in your pitch is your business to consumer, or you're aiming this build your own car, so to speak, to the consumer. So as a consumer who knows nothing about racing, there were a couple of things to point out that I think would have even related to me even more. But first, on the presentation side, the questions that you have to ask and answer in order to just qualify to be on Pitch Me eliminate my worry as a listener of really understanding or really grasping the numbers and really worrying about all of the due diligence. Because one of the things that they don't say about pitching, and you can see tons of examples of pitch decks online, is that investors are not only looking for, do you know your business, do you know the numbers, but they're also looking for, how do I feel about you?
Right.
You pitched with a team. That's a challenging presentation. Team presentations are challenging in that we're looking for, is there a smooth transition? And I don't mean you have to be Hollywood.
Right.
But you know, how do they all look on stage or on the camera? Do they look like they like each other because they say they're a team? You know, or am I sensing they're not really a team? Do they look believable? It doesn't mean you have to be in the IBM suit. It just means, are they believable? At least not ripped T-shirt and, you know, cut off jeans.
Right, they could be skateboards.
I know that's believable, but you're pitching for money from professionals. So, so we're looking for the personal, and they don't say that a lot in the pitch deck world. So that I was really impressed with.
Thank you.
From the consumer end, so now you're telling me this is what you do, and you're building. I can build my own car, and when I first hear first electric vehicle, my mind, not knowing anything, is, oh gosh, another Prius or Volt. And no apologies to the car companies that make that. I happen to be a Toyota driver, so you know, as soon as I hear electric, I hear Prius. Right. So if you're talking to me as a consumer, differentiate yourself. Why yet another electric car? I don't know the electric car world. Right. So I'm thinking it's already filled with the major car companies. But in a conversation earlier, you said it hasn't even been tapped.
Kind of a concept and mock-up of the platform. The modular platform allows us to utilize the central chassis, which houses the batteries and the electric components. This is just an example, but this is a similar platform. This gives you a rough idea of how it's going to work. So on that same chassis, with the subframe front and rear, you can fit a Corvette style body, you can fit a small pickup, you can fit the mid-size SUV, and you can cover various models.
I think the big bang on what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create this modular vehicle, and what it is, a platform that allows us to compete directly in multiple competitive market classes, right? So you have the compact SUV market is really booming right now, the compact crossover. You develop a platform with the similar wheelbase that can be stretched or shortened, and we have a sports car platform we can develop off of that. Also a fleet-sensitive vehicle that can handle heavier loads, depending motors that are able to be swapped out, and all this is customer-centric. So a lot of what happens, a lot of what's available to the customer is going to be able to, the customer is really going to be in control of what product they want, and it's all going to be sourced directly from
Before you respond, I just want to add to your response, if you can also include, because one of the conversations I had with you, you explained to me the distribution system being existing properties that you'll be able, so in responding to Sylvia, if you can also just expound on the distribution system that would also be used to go to market.
Okay, so why not, well, not necessarily why not, you know, a Toyota Prius, no. So the key aspect of what we've done is the company EVSR that I've been working with, and Rhema Motors is a partner of, and they have worked with a platform, a race-proven platform that builds out, that can be built out in a modular way. So utilizing and putting the vehicle's components within those race cars, Rhema Motors began to work with Charlie. Charlie came on board with Rhema Motors. And we are now in the process of building out a platform that's modular, allowing us to build an a la carte vehicle. So you think of a pizza. If you want a very nice pizza, you can put whatever you want on it, but that very nice pizza is going to come at a premium cost. So with our vehicle, our modular platform, it's a skateboard platform. Look at it as a skateboard, so to speak. You have the ability to we have the ability to build a vehicle that fits in various vehicle classes under one platform. And within that one platform, you can then go even further and say, okay, this is the performance spec that I need. Oh, I can't afford that? Well, I'll go to the mid-grade. And then from a fleet vehicle aspect, because we not only deal with the consumer, but we also deal with fleet vehicles. Exelon Energy, for example, they can build a fleet vehicle with us to meet their budgetary aspects, but also have some of the key features of having that V to G component on the inside, so that they can power excuse me, so that they can power a site or whatever have you, or power tools while they're on that site. Now, in speaking to the fear of electric vehicles, that the technology is here. It's capable, fully capable. We have a proven race car platform that has more miles on it than even like the top Formula E race cars out there. So more rubber to track miles on a proven platform we have. And we are able to scale that into a production model vehicle through the modularity of the components and the driveline.
How long does it take to build the car from the customization process of the consumer, and what's the cost?
One car is roughly between 35 to 40 grand. Our target price is 45K. So you factor in some of the expenses, the O&M and other expenses in there, and you're looking at like a between 2,500 to 4,000 will help to reduce costs. Yes. And to give you a little more insight into that, most cars, gas cars on the road, auto manufacturers don't make money from the smaller vehicles. They make money from the bigger vehicles, SUVs, pickup trucks. So Ford makes the most per vehicle at roughly about $2,500 per vehicle, and that's for the F-150. So with us, we are basically, we have a higher profit margin, and so even at a median volume, we still stand to be profitable, as well as using the pre-order format. We can also use that as a early capital gain for the company as well. If we, like I said, if $2,000 down payment, we get $2,000 reservations, that's $2 million. You know, to help put towards the further development and everything else, and we can leverage that to then get the funding to build out the factory and everything else.
And also, if I may, just to piggyback a little bit, the modularity of the platform kind of allows us to compete across different classes simultaneously, so we can also increase volume that way. So we may be competing in a low profit margin segment as well as a higher profit margin segment. The volume, the sales volume may not be the same, but again, we'll be able to attain those higher profits by competing across these different classes. So that again is a benefit of the modular platform that we already have developed.
The distribution process, so I'm also PR and Communications Director of NEDRA, which is National Electric Drag Racing Association, and utilizing their broad net that they already have of members, I've been able to capitalize on the networking aspect of that to talk with guys who actually own vehicle conversion shops. So they convert gas vehicles into electric, but that's not technically a feasible feasible market from the perspective of being scaled up on a grand scale. Where we come in is we build the vehicles. Think of it as a radio controlled car in the hobby field. You have a car that you can interchange the motors, interchange the various components. But if you don't know about that radio control car, which most dealerships have the problem with selling the Nissan Leafs and the Chevy Bolts, the salesmen don't know the technology. So we have a pool of conversion shop guys, engineers and designers that know the technology, so they're coming on board as our partners in the distribution process of that. So that gives us a very broad net for distribution.
So Rhema Motors, why us? We have the staff, we have the team that's knowledgeable in the electric vehicle racing industry, we have the team that's knowledgeable in the in the fleet and consumer markets, we have knowledgeable fabricators and engineers, and we've partnered with some of the very top industry companies in the industry that have ties to already history.
As Ray said, is the core of the development program for Rhema Motors, in that, unlike many capital-intensive programs, automotive specifically, but anything that requires a lot of hardware, most of the time people are selling vaporware. They're working really hard to convince you that their idea will work. What we've done in 3 years, we built the car in 3 months from blank sheet to racetrack. We've got over 5,000 racetrack miles, 75 races, lap records at dozens of facilities. We've been to Pikes Peak and been on the podium, had professional drivers in the car. But the big thing that I'm here for is not the business of it, but to really prove that the modularity, the translatable nature of, for example, this sled here, this can be taken out of that car and with 2 drive shafts installed in virtually any platform. That modularity, that ability to integrate systems is where I'm strong and what I'm supposed to be doing for this program to allow the development. And, you know, as Ray said, to have that simple skateboard program is much like that sled. You have a solid platform.
Thank you, Charlie. I think what Charlie and Raymond have spoken to is that we're able, as Rhema Motors, is to really translate, is to bank hard on the fact that we have the technical expertise and that we've done an actual functioning model and a functioning prototype that can translate into consumer confidence. So we're not out here guessing on what can happen. We've actually put the pedal to the metal, if you will, actually put a prototype, a model out there that's not only competed, but competed successfully against a class of cars that it wasn't actually designed to compete
against. And I know I recently saw information of what you probably sent me, that there is a big push to expand where the electric power is coming from. So the different stations to be able to plug into and things of that nature apparently are really booming because everyone is looking at cars going in that direction.
Right. I mean, you're definitely, we understand electric vehicles more now than we did even 2 years ago.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
So is there anything else from the presentation, Sylvia, that you wanted to better understand?
One of the things that came to my mind when we were talking, and sometimes I like, and actually I've heard from investors who like to see demos. Now you can't bring a car in. Well, okay, in a small area, but I'm thinking you play model cars.
Well,
no, he was going to bring a
we
real
were
one so we could go
literally
test drive.
going to bring one of the electric race cars here to test drive, but we just wanted to, it was kind of a touch and go thing. We didn't know if it would be appropriate.
Okay,
So,
well,
but you guys could have, we would have brought the one that Jay Leno drove down.
You didn't tell me that part.
I have seen him.
Sorry.
But even in a small short demo, you know, it is to have that little mock-up, have that chassis, and to just take me through a story, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but I just wrote these little notes down and said, so here's a chassis. Now, if you're in your 20s, you don't have much of a budget, probably, because you're just starting out. So here's a little economy car body that can fit on this chassis. Now, you move into your 30s, chassis still good, you've got a family. Let me pull this body off. We can put a family van, small van on this chassis. So now you're in your 40s, pop that chassis off, you're making a good income. You're ready for that luxury vehicle. Let's put on a nice, classy looking body. And now in your 50s or 60s.
Taking us to an electric wheelchair.
So, well, I was trying to figure out 70s, but I stopped. I said, so now you're a person in your 50s or 60s. You got that midlife crisis going on. Let's pull off that luxury vehicle and put a hot 2-seater sport car body on there. And I'm exaggerating. That poor chassis has gone through 50 years of living of DC ruts in the road, but still.
But see, so in speaking to that, again, I referenced the skateboard. You can get on the skateboard when you're done with it. Lorette can get on the skateboard when she's done with it. I can get on the skateboard when I'm done with it. So there's that example. So that capability will be there, but those are things that we have to that we will be delving in deeper into with the safety regulations involving that. But those are key aspects, and that was one of the key feature capabilities that makes the vehicle viable. Its modular aspect, and it's not just the body; it's the actual components themselves as well. So speaking to the 20-year-old on the low budget, he may not necessarily be able to afford, or she may not necessarily be able to afford that high performance motor and driveline and motor controller setup. So they then in turn go for the opt for the lower model. And in doing that, they feel okay, now I want this.
Yeah.
The resale market alone, I mean, if you set up an aftermarket, and this is something that we've thought of, but it wasn't really put a whole lot of effort into thinking about it. But, you know, whether it be selling your old components on consignment, you know, just things like that, because of the modularity of it, a lot of what I've done and the team and I have put together is something that will actually be almost a scaled up version of the radio
cars do
control
you
market.
need to sell on an annual basis to break even?
Less cost going into a major design component of it, of our vehicles. So we can, because of our reduced cost in building it, we can then have our return on investment come back fairly quick after 10 to
I ride a motorcycle. I have seen those motorcycle swap meets where they've got all the parts laid out and they're selling them, so that I can relate to.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Raymond, as a early stage company looking to raise capital, talk to us about what has been the biggest impediments for you getting to the capital that you need, and what is it that you particularly and or early stage companies in general, what are some of the things that you can speak to that would help in this process that you're going through in trying to get to the capital you need to build out your business?
Okay, so the biggest impediment also speaks to getting to the capital. It's really awareness. Letting folks know that we're here, letting the folks know that we have the capability to do this with all of the partners that we have within the industry, and translating that into something that the investor can see and say, hey, okay, so they do have a platform that they've beta tested, or a platform that they've at least beta tested the components for. So being around the actual investors, or being around network serial entrepreneurs, and in that whole grouping will give us a better ability to be more in the spotlight and gain the interest that's needed to get the funding. We're also tightening up a lot of the financial aspects for the long term. We have a lot of key things in place that will give, you know, the investors the aha, I see. You're going for a pre-order platform with your prototype like Tesla did and like Nikola Motors did. That's an enormous start. That's a great start. So that's the main thing that we want to try to basically get the investors and people to understand, that we have running platforms. We're just trying to get into the networks and the groupings of people who want to understand our technology more.
So we're really happy. We're really excited about what we're doing. We think we bring a different approach to this market that a lot of people are competing in, and it's going to be unique in the fact that you can take this modular platform and have a really different take and a lot of the same characteristics, and then we have a definable, proven vehicle, a proven product that we've already kind of gotten out there and proved in some of the most grueling conditions in that you can have this vehicle in.
Well, I would say, Sylvia,
Great.
thank you so much for joining us.
Hey,
I appreciate
thanks.
you coming on. Raymond, thank you so much. And thank all of you for joining us on Capital Academy, where we're all about helping to understand what startup and early stage companies are going through, what they need, and in our own way providing some answers to that. One of our answers is Pitch Me, where we do give the companies an opportunity to tell their story so it can be heard on a broader base. And then we follow that up with Capital Academy, where we can dig a little deeper than just a 10-minute pitch presentation. iBoss is also designed to assist in helping early stage and startup companies understand how to walk through the process of raising capital. I often say raising capital is not an event, it is a process. And for entrepreneurs and founders to learn that process is invaluable to them and the investors that they are engaged with. So if anyone is interested in learning more, please go to our website, ibossinc.net, and you can see the various things we have. But for today, I again want to say thank you for joining us on Capital Academy, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.